2024 has so few rule changes, and a lot of them have actually were going to come in have actually been reversed. So, there is no tyre warmer ban this year. Pirelli have gone a different direction with the tyres according to what the FA have asked for. So tyres very much the same as previous seasons. They're trying to make them less heat prone, as we've seen in previous years. So hopefully that would be a change. In terms of the chassis, there's almost no regulation changes that would make a visible difference to the car. The only one really is taking some of the metal out of the floor edge, and that's not a performance thing. That's just reduce punctures and debris on the track. Nothing that the teams would worry about. The main changes really have been with the power units. Now, of course, since 2022, we've been in a power unit freeze, a homologation freeze, where the teams aren't able to update any aspect of the power unit, its code and its fuel from year to year. However, this year there was a special dispensation because they were going to stick with just 3 power units for the year. The teams were allowed to make reliability changes, which is something that they've always been allowed to do, but they were allowed to do extra ones. So the belief is that most of the teams have kind of changed lots in detail on their power units to improve reliability, which may well allow them to increase the duty cycle to get them more power in the races, over a longer period, and maybe even more peak power overall as well. But there will be a subtle change in that area, and I think all the teams will have taken advantage of that to some respect. Gearbox is still frozen, but they can change the outer carbon carrier of the gearbox, because that is exempt from the homologation free. So as you've seen, teams like Aston Martin can switch from pull rod to push rod at the back of the car. Really, there's very little else on the cars that have changed. One tiny one was a change to the wheels, which I was quite vocal about last year, that the wheels were cracking too easily in an accident and allowing shards of metal to fly away and loose tires to fly away. I think I counted more than maybe 15 incidents last year where that happened. Slightly redesigned to the BBS wheel, slightly heavier, and that's accounted for in the regulations. So that really is the changes, and in terms of what it affects the teams from what we see, almost zero effect.
There was talk at one point about Renault being given some sort of dispensation to make up a power difference, but that's not happening, we gather?
No, that's been voted down by its rivals. I think there was some good feeling towards them at one point, but you're getting different views from different people. Renault are saying we're so far behind, and the other teams going, well, yeah, they're not actually that far behind. And I think the truth probably does lie much more with the other teams, because there is very little difference in outright power and drivability between all of these power units. Now, certainly, I think we could agree that the Alpine is furthest behind, but you're talking about tiny fractions. You're probably talking about a handful of horsepower here at any point on the power curve. So we're not talking about something fundamentally different. And as I say, they have had the opportunity to make reliability updates, and therefore they can make changes to their power unit in the remaining seasons before we get the new regulations in 2026.